Hello and welcome to week 2 of our class. Let's talk a little bit about last week's work first. I thought you did a great job of the discussion questions that were talked about and responding to each other. I also liked your essays. Just a couple of comments. If you send me anything in writing, please put it in a Word document so that I can edit it and make comments and send it back to you. That's helpful. And secondly, I appreciate several of you used some sources and cited them. That's really good. I need to see that. So if you are quoting or using something from a textbook or from one of the other sources, just make sure you put that as a source at the end, a reference, and that'll be the best way to do your APA referencing for papers you write. Week 2 is all about corporate culture. For some of you, as I talked or as I responded to your essay last week, I said keep looking as we go on for the kind of questions you raise or comments you raise, and this is a good week to talk about that because corporate culture talks not just about the why companies behave they do, but what are their policies, what are their value statements, what are the reasons that they behave the way they do. This week's chapter has a lot of implications probably for your project and your major paper as you look at the corporate culture as you choose a company and you look at the corporate culture of that company and find out what led them to perhaps behave the way they did or make decisions the way they did too. You're going to have a Harvard case analysis little paper to fill out this week on the Schmidt reading. That's your second tool. Last week we talked about the questions that were at the end of the chapter that you can use as you analyze a case. This little tool is another tool you can use as you analyze the case and talk about, what are the ways you take a look at the instance that the case was about or the company was about. So there's some good implications of good tools you can use. You're going to read the Schmidt case this week and go through that analysis to find out kind of how you look at the decisions that they had time to talk about. This week you're going to be looking in your self-study about vocation. You might not have looked at vocation quite the same way. It's not just the same as a job, it's more than that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. There's another video in that self-study on servant leadership, and we'll talk more in our live session next week about that. So take a look at that, find out what that's all about, and we'll talk a little bit more later about how to implement the whole idea of servant leadership. There's no essay this week. You're working on the HBR document. In your discussion, there are 2 Goldman Sachs videos you're going to need to watch. If you're not familiar with Goldman Sachs, it's still a very powerful investment company. And you watch these videos, you'll be forced to make some thoughts about the culture of that company and whether that culture is something, whether you're a finance person or not, you would find appealing or not appealing. If you look at the bottom of the backboard page for week 2, you'll see I've assigned randomly people into 3 groups, because we have 11. One group's got 3, the others have 4 people in them. And you can start working on your group. What I'd suggest this week you start doing is doing a little research on some company or a company that you might find interesting to look at for their ethical case challenge that they may have had. And then after you've got some ideas down, you can start emailing and talking to your other team members about the case you chose or maybe cases they chose, and then you'll make by next week, not this week, but next week, you probably should start narrowing it down to one group or one case that you're going to choose, and then you'll share those with me. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. A number of you people did last week. I tried to get back as quickly as possible. But again, thanks for your first week. I was really pleased with the work. I look forward to reading the things you're going to submit this week and to our live session a week from now. God bless as you continue this class, and I hope all is going well with you and you stay healthy. Have a great one. Bye.